Hey guys, JK Samus here with another Arcane video, and this time I want to talk about who, in my opinion, is the most frustrating or even the most hated character in Arcane. And the first thing I really want to talk about is like what really makes them the most frustrating or hated character. Why do we hate these characters? Why do they frustrate us? And I think the number one thing is how despicable they are. I think that if there's a character that's really scummy, the way that he moves, the way that he operates himself under certain underhand tactics, the values and the motives, and the way they just go about achieving what they want doesn't align with our own, right? There's some amount of morality that is not the same as ours. So another trait that I find why we hate certain characters or we're just frustrated by them is whether or not they continuously oppose the characters that we like, that we favor. They naturally, when we favor a character, we tend to kind of have this sort of bias, right? And anything or anyone that opposes them is the bad guy, right? They're just the antagonists of our so-called protagonists. And I think the third character trait is really important too, because I think it's probably the most important one, which is whether or not they're relatable. So why is that more important? Well, I feel like it's more important because you'll have characters like, for example, Thanos from the MCU, who, his methods are, very unconventional, right? He believes that he has to sacrifice half the universe, right? Which is an insane thing to do, but in order to save the universe. And he feels that his methods are justifiable. And he's really just the only one that can do it. So in between Infinity War and Endgame, he's the protagonist of those movies, right? Even though he may seem like the villains to the characters that we favor, like Tony Stark's character or Captain America's character. So even though he is unconventional, you can see that he's gone through things and he's just misguided in the way to go about them. But I'm not here to talk about Thanos. I'm here to talk about who is the most hated character in Arcane, or most frustrating character in Arcane. And I'll start with an honorable mention. My honorable mention for the most frustrating / hated character is Marcus. Why is Marcus frustrating? Why is he arguably the most hated character? It's mainly because of kind of how despicable he is, right? When we're first exposed to him, you have like this misguided sense of righteousness about him. He's obviously very prejudiced and discriminant against the people from the lanes, the undercity people, just because of their living situation. Just because they just are where they're from, He doesn't know anything about the character. He's quick to judge, but he just assumes that everybody from the Undercity is a criminal. And so, but it's from this sense of this misguided sense of righteousness. He's an enforcer. He has these certain values that say, hey, like all these people are criminals. I'm the good guy. And all they're trying to do is just get in the way, and they're all they care about is themselves. They're not like us, right? He kind of demonizes them. He dehumanizes the undercity citizens, the people from the lanes. And another reason why we don't like Marcus is because he's there to sort of bully the main characters, the protagonists, especially in the first arc of Arcane, right? He's obviously bullying Vander, the kids, and so and increasingly, ironically enough, right? It's almost hypocritical, but he's also working with another member of the Undercity, Silco, right? And it's crazy because he is also about fame too. He's also about some form of heroism, right? But he's using underhanded tactics of, siding with an Undercity member or citizen to sort of get what he wants, and that's what kind of makes us Marcus so despicable. And but there's something else about Marcus as well. There's also something else about Marcus as well that we just kind of it's not very attractive, right? And it's the fact that he's also a coward. Marcus, this is this moment in here we have it. This moment where Silco, gives him this sort of bomb that Jinx made, and Silco is saying that like, oh, you wanna be a martyr. You want to sacrifice yourself, kill me in the process. Go right ahead. What are you waiting for? And kudos to Silco, because he actually sees Marcus for who he is, and Marcus isn't about that life, right? He fantasizes about this. That was just him fantasizing his heroic accomplish of sacrificing himself, but he can't come to the term to do it, and that's mostly because he lacks resolve. And resolve is a very key thing to sort of even playing the hero or playing the villain. Their resolve, even Silco has resolve, right, for his goals. Marcus doesn't. He's weak in the knees. And there's another great a clip. So Marcus, he can't kill himself, but it seems like the only people that he's able to kill are, or to harm, is these people from the lanes, right? These Undercity people. But another thing is that he's because he's able to sort of dehumanize them and demonize them. They're not real people, right? That's like how far it is engulfed in his head. So he's able to shoot Echo, no problem, right? Hands down, right? No, without hesitation. But look how he treats Caitlyn, right? Caitlyn's also an enforcer, right? And he what's it called? Marcus, he's the sheriff, but his sense of morality is so messed up, right? He's supposed to be the icon, the top of the best of what Piltover has. He's the sheriff, There's some sort of icon and sort of like role model that he sets, but the person that he really isn't this hero at all. And he can't even really bring himself to kill Caitlyn too. So you see, he's not really a villain per se, but he's just misguided. And sometimes, and I think that really makes him relatable too, because sometimes we're just lost, and sometimes we're just misguided. Sometimes our sense of righteousness, the way that we grew up on things, right? Maybe it's like passed down from our parents or our certain group of people that we were raised with. And so he has like this other ideology between Piltover and the Undercity. And in the end, Marcus died as a coward. But it's kind of because of that that we're kind of able to relate to who he is. He's the worst. He's the worst of who we are, and sometimes we get really frustrated, and sometimes we see people that are very, very close of who we once were or who we are, and we don't like it, right? And I feel like Marcus is one of those characters. He wants to be the best. He wants to do good, but he just doesn't have the means to do it, for whatever reason. But let's move on to who I think is the most frustrating and hated character in Arcane. And personally, it's my own opinion, but I find Heimerdinger to be the most frustrating character. I wouldn't say I hate Heimerdinger, just really is hate such a strong word, and the only thing I really would hate a character is if they were like completely useless. But Heimerdinger kind of serves a purpose in this sort of story. So Heimerdinger does serve a purpose in this story, and the thing is that is he despicable? Absolutely not. He's very he has good intentions, right? He's trying to help his colleagues. He's trying to help his students. He's trying to be this mentor. He's a great icon of what Piltover should be, right? At its sort of at its best, and to believe in the scientific mind. But as the show goes on, we see that he has a lot of flaws, and he doesn't really have a place in this sort of technologically advanced society where they're looking to better the lives of not just the topsiders, but also the people in the lanes, the undercity. And does Heimerdinger oppose any of the characters that we favor? And I would say yes. I would say maybe not physically, but he definitely has this opposition against Jace and Victor when it comes to their new Hex Tech Gem technology. Why? Because he believes that there should be more safeguards, and it's too dangerous for just everyday citizens to just have. Right? And he even says that within a few more decades, you'll everything will be ironed out, and we can start using it for everyday citizens. But the thing is that Heimerdinger, he's 300 years old, and on. But humans, they don't live that long. They can barely get past 100 or 90. Right? So he's out of touch when it comes to the progress and what the citizens really need, because it seems like primarily most of the citizens are human, so there's really we can't afford to just have these decades of testing and experimenting just to make sure things are 100% safe, right? There's always some amount of risk when it comes to things, but that's the thing, is the reward high enough? And for Jace, for Victor, yes, it is. That's what it means to be a scientist, right? We want to venture further. There might be sacrifices along the way. There might be some bumps in the road, but like we're willing to make to also address those sacrifices and address those sort of bumping roads, or just like rough edges. So and throughout the show, Heimerdinger opposes Jace and Victor, especially when Victor has this illness that he's even within the span of like a normal human being. Victor, he's gonna die even before that, way before that. He's not gonna live very long without the help of a technology like the Hex Tech Gem, right, or the Hex Core, as we later find out. So there's that moment when we start distancing ourselves from Heimer, or at least Heimer distances himself away from us, saying that like, well, I understand what you guys were trying to do, and it seems great, and I like where this is heading, but it just needs more time. But that's the thing. That's a very finite and limited resource for humans, and especially for Victor, who is kind of feels like he's on borrowed time.
Now we are houses divided. I believe if we set aside our greed and arrogance, we can be one again.
And you see, it's so funny that Heimerdinger has all these ideologies and these values, and he says like we got greedy, and maybe he does take some amount of he's admitting to that, right? I don't know, maybe he's just looking to the counselors, the other members of the counselors, believing that, oh, like I wasn't that greedy, but you guys were, But I think let's give him the benefit of the doubt that he is admitting, right? But how much accountability is he really taking for all of this, and what solutions does he have for the lack of progress, or the lack of problems that are happening within Piltover, within the lanes, within the Undercity?
We'll take vigilance. We must hold each other accountable.
And who holds you accountable?
What?
Shimmer is rampant in the Undercity. Attacks at the Hex Gates and in the Academy Square. Enforcers fear to set foot in the lanes. All under your watch.
So Jace just lays it out right then and there. He's tired of it, right? Because I mean, if you look at Heimer, he got really comfortable being in this cushy position, right? Heimerdinger is in a position of privilege, not also as a council member, not also as like a topsider, as a scientist, but just someone that's able to live 300 years old. So that's some amount of privilege right there, right? So with all that combined, Jace is like, look, what did you do when all these problems came about, right? It just bled over. It just kept on becoming more and more problematic. And you'll see that him basically put the question to the council: is this the kind of person that is fit to sort of decide policy on these sort of problems when he's so disconnected from the rest of us?
Jace, you forget yourself.
I'm sorry, Professor, but healing this city will take more than just speeches. Time and again, you've warned us what not to do. But let me ask you this. What's your plan to fix this?
I see what this is about. Your Hextech projects need more time.
And I feel like that's very irresponsible of Heimerdinger. You know, he's supposed to be this 300-year-old living being. You know, he's this genius mind, right? But the thing is that, you know, with all those 300 years, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of wisdom. In fact, it made it seem like it worked against him, right? His lack of, or suspended mortality, right? Basically disconnects himself from pretty much the rest of the people. So, and not only that, but he's trying to make it seem like, oh, Jace, you're talking about your Hextech gem. I think that, you know, you're kind of misguided here, and maybe it is part of that. Maybe that is a part of why Jace is doing it, is because he's not Heimerdinger, you know, put down the progress of that Hextech technology, but I don't really think that's what Jace is completely saying here, right? He's not just trying to push this agenda of like the Hextech gem. He's talking about every single thing, because he's now a council member himself, and he has to deal with the problems in the Undercity. That was his task that was given to him by the rest of the council. So, and as we later find out, Jace's solution is to really to have a member of the Undercity, someone that grew up in there, right? Which is going to be Silco, somebody that understands the problems of the Undercity, because the topsiders have no clue. They're disconnected from the Undercity people the same way that Heimerdinger is kind of disconnected to the rest of the human race.
More safeguards.
Humans don't live for centuries. We can't wait for progress. We need a leadership focused on the future, not the past.
And that's there's that sort of that sort of opposing ideology, right? You have someone who is basically the father of Piltover, right? One of the founding fathers of the Piltover society, the city that was built on, you know, technology and, you know, not the magical arts, the arcane arts. Right? So he has like this icon of he's an icon for the city, but in practice, how does he function within this society, and what is he offering, what is he contributing to the progress of the city and the solutions to its problems? So Jace, he's like this new guy. He's fresh. He understands that there are problems, and we can't just keep sweeping them under the rug, right? And under Heimerdinger's sort of supervision, right, like you said, like Shimmer is rampant. There are crimes that are happening in the Undercity. Enforcers are afraid to set foot in there, and partly it's because Silco came to power. But check this out, it's like, how did it get to this point? So Jace understands that Heimerdinger is just so out of touch and cannot offer any more use to this council, because we need more solutions rather than these sort of speeches that explain about their ideologies.
You are the true father of Piltover, and your years of service can never be repaid. I believe it's time we gave the beloved founder of our city a well-deserved retirement.
And it's really and Jace does this with a lot of he does this with a heavy heart, because Heimerdinger was one of the people that believed in Jace in terms of trying to not get him expelled from the academy. Heimerdinger was like, hey, you know what, like, just say this, you get a slap on the wrist, everything will be fine, just don't mention anything about magic, man, like, don't talk about that, okay, and then you can still study at the academy, it'd be cool. But he's also a mentor to Jace too, and Jace is very reluctant to do this, but now he's in this position of power, right? Jace is in this position of power, and he needs to get results. He feels like he doesn't really have much of a choice. Not only that, but like, there's a lot of things that trespass Jace, right? In terms of like, Victor, he's basically knee deep in the grave, and Heimerdinger is just like destroy this hex core, right? Which is pretty much helping keep Victor alive for the most part at this current moment. So it's just a lot of the older age mentality and the younger mind, they're clashing here, and as of right now, it seems that Jace has made up his mind to sort of take Heimerdinger from this position of power of policy making for Piltover, because he just can't see him as part of this city, which symbolizes progress. So in conclusion, I just wanted to sort of like go back to a moment where, this scene here is when we first get exposed, when we're first exposed to Heimerdinger, and he seems so much like a Pixar character, so much like a character from DreamWorks, just very fun and genuine, and just it's like it's completely harmless and just joyful. We especially if someone who is familiar with the League of Legends franchise, we're happy to see him, right? But as the show goes on, we find that his ideologies and what he is doesn't really fit in the Arcane series for the better, right? We find that he's actually really, really naive for his age, for his sort of time living, and we notice that we just aren't relatable to Heimerdinger this entire time. Every sort of encounter that we have after this point, we're constantly clashing with Heimerdinger. You're supposed to be a scientist, you're supposed to be an elder of the community, but yet you're not offering any sort of real solution to any of these problems. You're telling us what not to do, but how can we just be convinced by just saying, by your cautionary tales about what could happen, when we're still facing real life, real time problems. But there is some form of redemption, right? There is some sort of redemption for Heimerdinger, and that's when he encounters Echo. And even though Echo is far younger than Heimerdinger, he lays some wisdom to this Yordle, or this 300-year-old Yordle, and he's telling Heimerdinger, like, look, it's not just enough to survive. It's not just enough to exist, to breathe. We need, as living creatures, we need something that keeps us going, that makes us want to wake up every day, and the next day after that, and the next day after that, right? We need some sort of passion. We have to have something to live for, something to strive for, right? Something that we're passionate about. And hopefully, within season 2, Heimerdinger is able to redeem himself as a character, But that's really all I have to say. And this concludes my Arcane video on who is the most frustrating character and slash hated character in Arcane. Thank you guys all for watching. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/JKSamus. I've been playing a lot of Eternal Return. Has nothing to do with Arcane, but it'd be nice if you just stop by, say hi, and I plan to make more Arcane videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, bye.